Okay, so when this episode goes live, it will be the very end of 2024 and we'll be heading into the new year. And I think something that people always have a hard time with is managing client expectations or just keeping their clients in line, if we're being honest. Sometimes people can go rogue. They really push the boundaries. And I think a good time-saving tactic for the new year and a good way to get more done is to really set those boundaries with your clients. You tell them you do not respond after 5 p.m. You do not get online until 8 a.m. You do not respond on the weekends. Whatever works for you, you are in the driver's seat. And honestly, every single time I've seen somebody try to implement these boundaries, they've been more respected for it. Also, this goes with when you raise your prices too. That can be a really scary thing. And people think they're going to lose clients, but you have to know what you're worth. And if you say, hey, I've been doing XYZ for you, you've built that trust with them, and it's time to raise those rates. That's another way of establishing boundaries and setting expectations and just be as crystal clear as possible. Joe, I know I just kind of dove into the topic for today, but I'm so passionate.
Well, it's great. So because I come at this topic from a different perspective, right? So I love what you said, but what I think about when I think of managing client expectations is making sure that people wind up happy with the results of the engagement. So, and everything that I needed to know about client expectations from that perspective, I learned from Star Trek, and it's specifically Scotty on the original series. Okay, I know you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, Carly, but some people will, and everybody, it will make sense. So I watched that show as a kid when it first aired, and I loved it. Right, guys, I'm a geek. But anyway. But here's what I learned from Scotty, right? On every third episode or so, Captain Kirk would tell Scotty, the head of the engineering department, Scotty, I need phasers. And Scotty would say, it'll take at least an hour, Captain, because they'd already been hit by whatever, they've been attacked. And Kirk would then say to Scotty, I need him in 30 seconds. And Scotty would reply, I'll do what I can, Captain. And invariably, the phasers would be working in 30 seconds, and Kirk would end with, Scotty, you earned your pay for the week. And that sums it up. It's like he set expectations that he knew he could exceed. Another example of this, my dad had a friend when I was younger, and let's call him Bob, because that was his name, actually. and Bob would promise the world to everybody, right? And one day I heard my dad say, Bob, you promise so much that when you do the impossible, it falls short. And what I learned is that, again, you always want to underpromise and overdeliver, right? If I am sure I can get it done in 2 weeks, well, tell people 3 weeks and then show up in 2 weeks and people are happy. I mean, sometimes that doesn't make sense, but what I'm saying is, as long as it's not going to mess up somebody's schedule somehow or not give them what they need, if you build a little time in and come in early, people are like, wow, cool. And if you come in on time, people are like, wow, cool. And if something goes wrong and you have to add extra time, you're not late out of the gate, right? So this idea of building, setting the expectations for when it's going to come, what it's going to be, it's just a really good way to manage, expectations, make customers happier by under promising and over delivering.
Well, and I just have two more things to add. One, people kind of have low expectations, so you don't need to bend over backwards per se. You just need to do what you say you're going to do, which so many contractors, so many people don't stick to that. So if you just stick to it, you're one step ahead of the game anyway. But the other thing I would say, your client benefits from these boundaries as well, because if you say, don't reach out to me until after 5 o'clock, don't reach out to me after 5 o'clock, and then they ping you at 8 p.m., that may indicate that there is an actual emergency that you need to pay attention to, because they know not to reach out unless it's an actual emergency. So to avoid crying wolf from the client side, that's a good indication, like, hey, we respect your boundaries usually, but you should know we need you really badly right now.
Yeah, it's either a real emergency or it's one of those clients you probably don't want to have anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's a win-win. You learn one way or another. So if you are having trouble establishing those boundaries, take this as your sign to do it. You may lose a client. You may not. You may gain a client because of the respect they'll have for you. So roll the dice. This is your sign to do it. So if you like this podcast, which if you made it this far, we hope you do, please leave that 5-star review, subscribe on your favorite platform, including YouTube, and we will see you next time on The Aspiring Solopreneur.